word, son. What do you do, YouTube? It's your boy, Jay Devon. All right, man, before we get into this video, make sure to like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. If you haven't already, when you hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified every time I upload. But without further ado, let's get up into it. All right, man. So, I'm going to probably cause a little bit of controversy, you know what I mean? But, you know, I've played both games extensively, so I have every right to, you know, make this assessment. But, looking back on Fight Night Round 4, man, I see why people regarded it as one of the best fight nights, but it wasn't really all that. And I'm gonna go into detail as to why. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Marshall Mine may have a word about this, or anybody that played Fight Night and they revered Fight Night Round 4 as somebody, as a game that was just better than Fight Night Champion, I probably gonna like ruffle a few feathers, and that's fine, you know what I mean? But Fight Night Round 4 looked good, you know what I'm saying? Especially coming off the heels of Round 3, how robotic it looked, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they were getting away from the, you know, the cookie cutter animations per se. It didn't look so, you know, blocky looking, but Fight Night Round 4 was smoother. You know, I mean, they took a different approach to it. It was made under a new engine. You know what I mean? You had the whole body morphing animation where, you know, muscles flex accordingly to whatever punched or however they moved. You know what I mean? Like, those few things stuck out to me. So graphics looked amazing. You know what I'm saying? But when it came down to combat, that's where it started to become a little fuzzy. Now, if you look at a lot of these boxers, right? Look at the way they threw punches. Everybody has a set way of throwing punches. In Fight Night Round 4, they only had 3 punch styles. Had all the styles in the world of, like, you know, of boxer styles. You know, they had the Roy Jones, they had the Ali's, they had the Tysons, the Peekaboo style. They had all the boxer styles that they wanted. But when it came time for punch styles, it was only 3. It was balanced, speed, and power. That was the only 3 that they had. And even then, a lot of them were hard to discern because the simple fact of all of them threw punches the same way. You threw a jab, it looked so not robotic, but it looked like real rock'em sock'em robotish. That's probably not a word, but that's what it looked like. It looked real rock'em sock'em robot like. You know what I mean? It was always, you know, when you threw a jab, and your body was just like so square. You didn't lean into a jab. You know what I mean? If you lean into a jab, you were closer. But given that, you know, if your fighter he adjusted accordingly based off of wherever he was in position wise when he was boxing. You know what I'm saying? If he was on the inside, then you threw jabs and uppercuts and hooks a bit different. You know what I mean? Versus when he's at a distance, or if he's at a distance where he can throw it. But, you know, it was like really, it was really airy the way they threw it. It wasn't a whole lot of oomph behind punches unless it was a haymaker you was throwing. You know, they had a little signature shots that they would throw, like Ali would shuffle his feet and throw it straight, or you had Tyson that would duck and he'll throw a hard left hook. You know what I'm saying? You have those are cool. You know what I mean? But it was just real. It was just really, like, there was no emphasis on combat. You know what I mean? And speaking of combat, the only emphasis on that was I found myself, a lot of my fights, whether it was online or against computer, the name of the game was counterpunching. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't feasible to just, you know, throw punches, time your punches, and, you know, mix up your style. You know, that was there, but it was like, you know, especially against computer, it wasn't feasible. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole blocking, you know, of course, weaving out the way, that's one way of, you know, getting a guy to miss. Then you use the right stick, depending on whatever configuration you were using. You use the right stick to guard up and low, or high or low, and then if you timed it right, then that was considered a counter. So a lot of this game was centered around trying to counter your opponent, you know, making them miss. And true, that's what boxing is, but it's more to it than just counter punching. You know what I'm saying? You know, you work behind the jab. You know what I'm saying? You keep them honest with the jab. You know what I mean? If you want to go to the body, be a body snatcher, go to the body, work the body. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? There's so many ways of how to go about a boxing match, and I found myself using a lot of the times counter punching. That's the only way I could beat my opponent. You know what I mean? Or if I played somebody online, that was literally the only way that I could get ahead on a guy. And we will literally sit there and be bobbing and weaving all day, blocking shots back and forth, trying to time how we're going to move all day long, because the game only honored if you counterpunch somebody. If you counterpunch somebody, that's what got you ahead. That's what ate away at his health the most. I'm not the longest, but the most. That's what ate away at his health. You counterpunched, you landed. You know what I mean? But as far as the regular punches go, they just look like they didn't have a lot of oomph in them. They looked lazy. They looked airy. You know what I mean? Versus Fight Night Champion, if you look, you know, a lot of punches, they look like they have meaning to them. They look like they mean something. They look punctual. They you know, everybody has their unique style. Like, then that's when we start going to look at, you know, all the different punch styles. Now they added more punch styles. They added Tyson's official punch style. They've added Muhammad Ali's actual punch style. They added Julio Cesar Chavez. They added him. They added who else they had? They added Roy Jones. They added Klitschko. They added David Haye. They added Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they added these different punch styles, and it made sense to have these punch styles, because now when you look at Fight Night Champion, now they was like, okay, they focus more on combat and less of trying to be on the defensive end, trying to counterpunch everything. And I think they knew that in round 4 going to Champion. You know what I'm saying? So looking at Fight Night Champion now and just seeing how that combat worked versus fighting in round 4, you saw that now they took serious of more combat, because Fight Night Champion was more of a serious approach to boxing. You know what I'm saying? Now you can work behind the jab. Now you can throw your 1-2s. You can combine however you want to. Like, you could really get in your opponent. You know what I'm saying? They did away with the whole, you know, timing your block to get a counter. And the only way you got out of somebody's way, if you sidestep, you slipped, or if you just weaved out of the way, your head movement was good. That's the only way that you got a counter. But other than that, all that timing your blocks and all of that didn't matter now. Now your block would deteriorate, you know, just like it did in Fight Night round 4, but now you got an automatic block for the top and the bottom, you know, for high and low. So now the only way for you to get away with blocking is if you had to time your block just so your guy protected himself. But even then, depending on if your guy was tired, or if your guy just didn't have enough reflexes, or if your guy was just all around strong. If he was strong, those punches were getting through those blocks and it didn't even matter. So your best bet was to try to just stay on the move. But Fight Night Champion was a more serious approach to combat, and it really mirrored how boxing, that's probably the closest thing to boxing as it possibly can, because there's so many different avenues about how you can box somebody. You can stay on the outside, work the jab, or you can get on the inside, and, you know, or you can mix it up, whatever you wanted to do. If you want to be on the defensive side, be on the bicycle, you wanted to be able to move out of the way, whatever you wanted to do, it was at your disposal. In Fight Night round 4, you didn't get a whole lot of work on the inside, staying on the outside, especially against computer, because they timed everything that you did. You know what I'm saying? But when you fought an opponent, the best way for you to get ahead was to just counter everything. That was the only way to get around. You couldn't really work your combos like you wanted to, because there wasn't a whole lot of oomph behind it. Everything was over exaggerated. You know what I'm saying? Probably people can say the same thing about Champion, but either way, you know, when it really came time for me to work behind a jab, because I believe in the jab, that jab sets up everything. But when you look at Fight Night Champion versus round 4, you see they took it serious in Champion. You know what I'm saying? There was real combat in Champion versus round 4. Don't get me wrong, round 4 looks good. That was a great start, but they just didn't get the combat right. Everything was just so like, you know what I mean? Champion was a serious approach to the combat. Now, granted, you know, if you had to say which one simulated boxing the most, it's kind of up in the air. I say Champion because it actually mirrored styles and you could go about boxing however you wanted to. But as far as like realism goes, I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. You know what I mean? I say if they came together and mixed Champion and round 4 together, I think that would probably be the perfect sim right there. You know what I mean? But either way, you know, round 4 was cool. It looked good. And, you know, at times it showed why it was good. At times it did. But I can't give it its flowers entirely, because there's certain aspects that in boxing that Fighting in round 4 just doesn't do, and Champion does it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, either way, man, Fighting in round 4 is cool. I like Fighting in round 4. It has its moments, but it comes just short. Champion picked up where Fighting in round 4 left off. But I don't know, man. Maybe y'all feel the same way. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Make sure you, Jesus, I forgot my outro. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. But I'm going to get up out of here, man. Maybe y'all feel the same way. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. But like I said, I'm going to get up out of here, man. It's your boy Jay Divine, and I'm signing out. Peace.